Okay, let me reset my clock here. We're going to start off with number 14. Continue. I'm sorry. For those of you who are watching this in class, we're continuing to number 14. And number 14 says f of x equals 9x, and then they want you to make a function table. And they actually started off for you, which is nice of them, but I want you to start looking at how they do it so that you can do yours on your own. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, they have us to pick 4 points. So we can pick again 0, 1, 2, and 3. I like to pick easy numbers. You can pick any number you want, positive, negative, decimals, fractions, but my theory is make it easy for yourself. That's the easiest way to do it. So if x is 0, this would be 9 times 0. If x is 1, this would be 9 times 1. If x is 2, this would be 9 times 2. And if x is 3, this would be 9 times 3. And so 9 times 0 is 0. 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. And one thing that I forgot to do on number 11 is they told us to state the domain and the range. The domain and the range. So if you remember from the other lesson, domain is your x values, and range represents your y values. So these are your x's. So the domain is 0, 1, 2, and 3. And these are your y values, because remember I told you that f of x is the same thing as y. So your y values are, and another word for this y values or f of x are your outcomes. I'll put that here. The range represents the outcomes. You ever heard somebody say you have a range of outcomes? So these are your outcomes: 0, 9, 18, and 27. So you're done. So I forgot to do that on number 11. So just make sure when you're doing your homework, if they ask you for the domain and the range, that you write down the domain and the range. Okay? Let's go on to number 16. Number 16 says the school baseball team wants to have each player's name imprinted on the player's jacket. The cost is $75 plus $8.50 for each name. Write a function to represent the cost, C of n, for n names. What is the cost to have names imprinted on 25 jackets? Excuse me. So we have a lot of information here that I want to kind of jot down. The first thing is that the cost of each jacket is $75. And it says it's $75 plus $8.50 for each name. And then it says to write a function to represent the cost, C of n, for n names. So they're telling you they want the cost to be C of n, and they want names to be the variable n. So they're giving you things to use inside of your equation or your function. They're giving you variables. They're saying the cost should be called C of n, so this should be C of n, and names should be called n, so this should be called n. So we're looking for ways to set up our equation. Let's look for other things that kind of jump out at us. Is, in math, what is usually stand for? Equals, right? So this would be equals, and this is obvious, plus. What about this? I told you this before, for each. Anybody remember what does for each stand for? Whenever they say for each or for every, that's usually going to be multiplication. I'll put a dot there for multiplication. Okay? And actually, I don't like the dot because most people don't remember that. So I'll just write out multiplication. Multiply. Okay? So let's see what we have here. We have C of n equals $75 plus $8.50 for each multiply name. So you need to multiply 850 times n, which is just 850n. You don't have to write a multiplication sign in between them. Whenever there's a number and a variable next to each other, that just means multiply. Okay, so remember that when you're setting up your equations, a number and a variable next to each other automatically means multiplication. So you don't have to write multiply. Okay, I'm going to write that off to the side because I see a lot of people do that. It's not necessary. 850 times n equals the same thing as 850n. They equal, it's the same thing. So you don't have to write the multiplication sign. So look how easy that was. They spelled it out for us. All we had to do was change it from words to math operations and variables. So here's the function. This is your function. C of n equals $75 plus $8.50 n. And then, so that's the first part of the answer. Then it says, what is the cost to have names imprinted on 25 jackets? What is the cost to have names imprinted on 25 jackets? So basically they're saying if you have to get 25 names done, how much is it going to cost you? And remember, N stands for names. So all you do, wherever you see an N, you put 25. Oops. Okay? Wherever you see an N, you put a 25 because they're asking you for 25 names. Now you just do the math. And you really don't have to write that over. Sorry if you already did. You can just do the math over here. 75 plus, I don't know. Oh, yes, I forgot my calculator. I already know. Bryce, don't say anything. Taylor, don't say anything. I forgot my calculator. It doesn't bother me that much, actually. I think it bothers you guys more than it bothers me. So don't remind me when I'm in class. Okay, 850 plus 25 equals $33.50. And then when we add that to 75, you get $108.50. So that's the total cost for 25 jackets. So here's the function, and here's the cost for 25 jackets, and you're done. So I'm going to encourage you, please don't be afraid of doing a lot of work. Math can be a lot of work, but if you stick with it, it'll get easier and you'll be able to do it faster. And most of you can do this. This is not hard. It's just that you may not want to go through all the details. It might seem like a hassle. But if you stick with it, you might find that you actually are good at it. So please, 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 don't just look at it and say, oh, it's too much work. I'm not going to do it. Okay.